Hi, welcome to another episode of Possible Paths to a Better Future. Last time we imagined some ways garden automation and food prep robots could make our lives better. We left our character enjoying a good meal at an automated bed and breakfast, so let's pick up from there and see where the rest of the trip takes us. I had AI generate me a picture of some nice islands with beautiful sandy beaches, and it looks like a lovely place for a holiday. It's a bit fantastical though, because it's lacking all the infrastructure required by the people that live there, as well as their economy to sustain that infrastructure. It would be a huge expense for the people living there to import even just the necessities, so we'd either need some form of industry producing something for export, or a tourist industry large enough to bring in sufficient money to balance the books. Unfortunately, as we see around the world, both these normally lead to the destruction of beautiful environments and their original charm being lost under tower blocks and cash crops. Let's try to make these idyllic islands into a sustainable community without destroying the ecosystem or ruining the charm. We won't worry too much about the running of the town itself for now, and instead focus on emerging technologies and potential new trends we might one day encounter at the seaside. So first let's get there. We need somewhere to stay, and the local economy needs tourism, so the obvious step is to build a hotel. But as we're trying not to ruin the local area, we need to consider the best way of doing this. In many popular tourism destinations, new developments can push up land prices and price out the locals from the market. The mayor of Barcelona recently expressed her concerns, noting, "There has to be a sense of limits and order. We need homes, we need residents to live in the centre." So where should we build it? One interesting possibility we have is that automated construction tools will allow us to build much more complex structures and to work in environments which are incredibly challenging for humans, such as underwater. An underwater hotel room would certainly be a memorable experience and a draw to tourists. If we build it with a focus on environmental conservation, we can include various design features which benefit marine ecosystems and allow them to flourish, which will further add to the charm of the location. Displays and events could help entertain and educate guests about the importance of preserving marine life, without the cruelty of keeping animals captive. We might even include special facilities for the local university to help them study the marine environment. Maybe they could even work with the hotel to put on lectures and create educational resources for the tourists. This hotel is not only providing enjoyable vacation space outside the local community, but if we put in a train line and a dock, it's now also operating as a slow link travel stop. Slow travel is what a friend was doing on his bicycle, meandering along down whichever country lane looks most appealing, pausing to take in the beauty spots and enjoy attractions and delicacies before moving on. In slow travel, the journey is as much a part of the vacation as the destination. In fact, there doesn't really need to be a destination. Imagine our character on his bike meandering down leafy tracks, riding casually paced electric trains through beautiful scenery, able to dally and explore to his heart's content. This has many advantages over traditional tourism. It can be far more enjoyable, cheaper, and also avoid many of the negative impacts which tourism can have. What makes this hotel a perfect slow travel link stop is that it's got cheap and flexible rooms available for travellers who aren't entirely sure when they're going to arrive or leave. Maybe our guy enjoyed the meal we left him eating so much that he wanted to stop for a tour of the local gardens and see where it was all grown. So he just added a day or two to his journey. Normally this would be impossible due to the fixed hotel booking, but with automated systems it will make it much easier for a hotel like this to have spare capacity. Not only do automated construction tools allow for more complex building projects, so it's fairly trivial to have more rooms, but also robot housekeepers make it far easier to handle shifting occupancy levels, as the hotel wouldn't be having to try and balance staffing against demand. Plus, with our AI able to check availability and manage our bookings, we won't need to worry about anything other than enjoying our trip. Now we've had time to enjoy the hotel, let's continue with the journey and imagine another cool possibility for slow travel. Let's say this hotel has a small fleet of single-berth sleeper boats. These are controlled by AI and able to carefully navigate through the night using a range of onboard and networked sensors. They ride the tides and navigate currents, while taking the best course for a safe and comfortable journey. Gyroscopes and active suspension could be used to ensure a nice stable platform for the bed. You leave the hotel after a delightful meal, sailing into the sunset or listening to your favourite music and reading your book. Maybe you bought a bottle of red wine and someone to share it with. After a blissful night under the stars, we awake the next morning refreshed and excited for the day ahead. We do our morning routines and decide if we're going to eat one of the limited but delightful choices on board, or get something at the next stop. Once we disembark, the boat's AI will take it to a recharge point, where we'll get ready to go meet someone calling for a pickup, or it will return to the hotel storage area. Let's have breakfast on the beach. We can use the AI-assisted app to buy something tasty from a local kitchen and get it delivered by a robot, just like in the first video. Maybe one of the locals also has a few chairs available we can rent for the day, possibly some sports equipment too. If we fancy a swim, then we can enjoy the water safely thanks to the network of sensors and drones quietly monitoring ocean conditions, watching for sharks or other dangerous animals, as well as monitoring people in the water, always ready to help if needed. It's lovely and relaxing on the beach, which is partly due to another use of the autonomous boat technology we mentioned earlier. If we look right out into the distance, we can just about make out several jet skiers zooming about, water skiers and people playing. That's the sports zone, where floating platforms maintain their position using similar AI to the sleeper boat. These act as somewhere for groups of friends to sit. They have diving boards, a docking port for aquatic toys, and the taxi boats which allow easy access. Moving jet skiers away from the seafront cuts noise, plus it creates a safe zone for bathers and surfers who are frequently the victim of jet ski accidents. We're not just shoving them out to sea though. The sports zone has the same safety systems watching over it as the beach, so it's a great place to play all sorts of traditional water sports, as well as all the new activities AI makes possible, such as racing through configurable courses, mock sea battles with AI pirates, capture the flag, boat sumo wrestling, boat soccer, anything else people can think of. For added safety, AI systems constantly monitor the weather and withdraw all the sports materials and platforms back into the hotel storage area when a storm comes in, making sure, of course, that everyone using it is accounted for and given assistance back to the safe location of their choice. We're having a fantastic holiday so far, and we've brought some money into the local economy, but we've also put a considerable strain on the local resources, so let's see if we can do anything about that. First thing all those people need is fresh water. Since it's an island, the obvious choice is desalination. We already have some really impressive projects in operation around the world. For example, almost all of Israel's tap water now comes from the Mediterranean Sea. In an area where people once predicted water wars, we're now in a situation where, thanks to modern technology, they've been able to work together, with Israel supplying 200 million cubic metres of desalinated water per year to Jordan in exchange for solar power to run the desalinators. They've even been able to start pumping good, clean water back into the Sea of Galilee to try and undo some of the damage done by decades of heavy industrial and agricultural use. Projects like these in Israel and the vast plants in Saudi Arabia and even California's relatively small facility are pretty expensive, but automated construction tools will vastly reduce the cost of putting in a desalination plant. Not only does it make building it cheaper, but also allows for a much more complex design, especially as we'll be using automated maintenance and management tools for the running of the facility. In current designs, they generally release brine back into the sea, which must be done very carefully to avoid causing problems for the local marine ecosystem. We don't want to cause any problems, so we have to make sure we're tied in through aquatic monitoring systems. Also though, we might not want to chuck that sludge away. There's a lot of stuff in ocean brine that can be incredibly useful. The most obvious being salt, which we've used in cooking for millennia, but there's also a lot of potassium, which is useful for fertiliser, as well as lithium, magnesium, and various rare earth elements, which are useful in a range of electronics, including the batteries we need to power all our helpful little robots and boats. Several new technologies like nanofiltration and electrodialysis are showing great promise in extracting targeted elements from a solution. Obviously we can't guess exactly what technologies we'll end up using, but going by the general makeup of seawater, we likely won't get huge amounts of anything beside fresh water and table salt. A small plant just serving these islands might make a few kilograms per week. Though tiny, as a constant production of useful resources, it will help supplement resources already in the local area's recycling system, allowing for a steady and sustainable growth without damaging the ecosystem. If we do find we need more, we can always make a special facility or boat designed to target only lithium harvesting, but let's not worry about that here. Now we've put that in, we're going to need a lot more power than the local community grid has spare, so we need to put in some more generation capacity. Don't worry though, we don't need to spoil the beautiful views. We can use the same construction tools that the hotel was built with to build our power station underwater. Tidal power is an incredibly promising renewable technology which is just starting to reach the market now. Sadly, the company I wanted to talk about, Sustainable Marine Energy, was recently placed into insolvency after permitting issues with the Canadian government set back the development of the world's first floating tidal energy array. Hopefully it's not the end for this company, but it certainly won't be the end for the technology which they've successfully demonstrated. Another promising innovation comes from another Scottish company, AWS, who are making this really cool little device designed to be put on the sea floor in coastal areas. Technology like this can be incorporated into mooring platforms and serve as a place for electric boats to recharge without needing all the infrastructure to connect to the power grid. The reason this incredibly promising resource is only just starting to get used is that the marine environment causes a lot of unique challenges, which hopefully AI and automation will allow us to solve efficiently and safely. Devices like tool arms for anti-fouling work removing seaweed and barnacles will be incredibly useful, but a lot of the new possibilities will be opened simply by the complexity that AI-assisted design and construction tools allow us to incorporate. So let's chuck a couple of small boat charging stations where they're needed. We can imagine that from the surface these are basically just a buoy that boats would normally tie off to, but with a power plug included. This then connects to the tidal generator, which sits underwater, possibly with a battery of some description to allow it to maximise its utility. We've also got our industrial scale tidal generator array out here where nothing much is happening, and since we've got so much power out here, let's see what else we can do with it. Since we've still got our construction boat, we can task it with building an underwater factory. This will keep it out of the way, but also has some other advantages. One thing our factory might do, for example, is to extract carbon from the ocean and use it to make stuff. Possibly advanced carbon nanotube-based things that require a clean room environment, maybe even an oxygen-free environment. Since we're building in an airtight structure anyway, we might as well take advantage of that, and with it fully automated, we don't need to worry about human requirements. The oceans absorb huge amounts of the carbon emissions which we make, and this has resulted in them becoming 30% more acidic since the start of the Industrial Revolution. Our little factory isn't going to solve that by itself, but if we can perfect the technology and it falls into common use, then we might see it start to reverse the trend of damage done. Our boats and robots could be made from graphene composites with carbon nanotube electronics. We could even use carbon materials to make all the structures we're building. This would mean that the resources we're using to enjoy a holiday aren't damaging the ecosystem. We're actually helping to make it healthier, and when they reach end of life, we can simply drop them down an old coal mine, and all that carbon, which was once threatening to ruin our climate, is safely back where it came from. Now we've got plenty of power and environmentally friendly production facilities churning out high quality products. We can think about exporting and importing. And for that, we'll of course use our construction boat to place a nice little automated cargo dock somewhere that it won't be in the way. This is a simple little warehousing facility with large pick and place tool arms for loading and sorting stock. Autonomous cargo boats dock to unload items they're delivering and load items from the island. But with AI, we can also organise far more complex systems which allow cargo to be unloaded and stored for exchange onto another boat. This means that we can organise far more efficient transport routes. To join the cargo platform to the island, let's build a small cargo train out to this underground warehouse. Here we can sort and store stuff ready for onward delivery, but also another exciting possibility is rental of robotic fabrication and multi-tooling rooms. These have industrial quality manufacturing tools which are able to perform whatever assembly, processing, repair or reworking is required. The tools would be needed to maintain the cargo system and serve the local community anyway, so why not rent them out to passing ships? You could have the AI order the parts you require and have them arrive at the cargo facility. If you're still on your journey, well, it's fabricating it, putting it all together, following the plans that you sent. Then, as your boat passes by, a little robo-skiff brings it out, loads it onto your boat, and whatever gadget or luxury item you required is seamlessly added into your life with a minimal disruption. Since we're all set up for cargo out here, we can add an aquatic farm too. These floating bags contain various kinds of algae, which are useful as foodstuffs, ingredients for medicine, various types of chemistry, or simple biomass used in manufacturing or industrial processes. We already have a few algae-grown products on sale. A lot of shoe companies such as Puma, Etnies and Adidas use Bloom Treadwell's algae foam in their soles. Admittedly, this is pretty much just algae mixed with standard ethylene vinyl acetate, EVA, so while it's better than the alternatives like PVC, it's still not great for the environment and won't biodegrade easily. However, as technology continues to improve, other manufacturing methods will come to market. Algae is a great source of natural polysaccharides, which are excellent precursors for the formation of bioplastics, while also being completely biodegradable by soil microorganisms. Genetic engineering of algae strains is also allowing it to produce some really clever stuff: biohydrogen, starch-developed alcohols, biofuels and cleaning solutions, which we'll need lots of to clean our solar panels and the windows of our glass hotel. We're not going to be able to get all the resources we need locally though, so let's add one more thing to the cargo zone. A nice big target that we can drop stuff on from space. Huge investments already going into researching mining in space. NASA's OSIRIS-REx is expected to return a sample it gathered from an asteroid later this month. It was a hugely expensive project to gather about 1 kilogram of dirt, but with more advanced automation tooling, it will at some point be fairly trivial to mine, process and return resources. One of the first things targeted by commercial ventures is titanium, because it's very abundant up there, very scarce down here, while being incredibly useful for many things. Especially useful for our little islands, as we could use it manufacturing things like desalination plants and all the other aquatic infrastructure, because it's got a very strong resistance to saltwater corrosion. We won't worry too much about what's going on in space for now. All we need is a special zone where the space robots can chuck stuff for our cargo boats to collect. Maybe we could even take a trip to space in a future video. So I think that's a good place to leave it. We've got a great holiday destination, the local economy is healthy and we're actually doing good for the environment. Pretty positive result, and all based on technologies which are already well under development. I hope this vision of a better future helped you feel some hope for the world. I'm going to focus on Pygrow development for a bit, but hopefully we'll be back looking into the rose-tinted time window soon. Possibly with a video that explains the economic and social mechanisms which will make a great future like this possible. And finally, this video isn't sponsored, but I'd like to do a quick free advert just to see us out. LibriVox is a community project where volunteers read books which are in the public domain. This includes all the books published before about 1927, so there's a huge amount of true classics. My favourites include Thomas Hardy's The Woodlanders, read by Tad Hines. He's got the perfect soothing voice for the text. He also reads The Ragged-Trousered Philanthropists, which is another great listen. I've listened several times to Adrian Pretzalis reading Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. It's another perfect match of voice and text, read by someone obviously very passionate about the book. All audiobooks are completely free. I will warn you that quality does vary, but there's a near endless amount of fantastic audiobooks on offer, from Victorian penny dreadfuls to Greek epics. Also some great non-fiction like Samuel Smiles' biography of George and Robert Stephenson, who are credited with the first useful steam locomotive. And Alberto Santos Dumont's autobiographical account of his experiences as an aviation pioneer and inventor in My Airships, The Story of My Life. Truly a remarkable read. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.